So think in terms of, and I'm going to ask you, we're going to split up the how it rolled out for both of them. What were the 4 parts again? It was the research on the front end. What did you gain by doing that? So initial reactions. So I'm going to ask you about initial reactions to both of them, and then the 4 stages that we had: the research on the front end, actually doing it.
Yeah. Research, prep, doing it, and
then the debrief. Yeah,
Debrief.
just how you. And so, and that's for both so far. We're in the middle of that, and then the reporting of it. If you had something, maybe you had an aha moment when you were writing it up or putting it in the final report as well, which we actually used one of your what you wrote in the survey.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you, and I think it was you.
Which was the question?
It was in the Survey Monkey.
Oh, yes.
And it's just talking about the difference, which stage that was your most favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And you really connected it well with the learning objectives back in the class. So I'll ask, and then if you could think in terms of answering it like in 30 seconds to a minute. It may seem short, but we'll let you know.
I've been recording this whole time. So
have you?
Yeah, I didn't know. So.
No, that's good.
Okay.
No, that's
It's good
that's fine.
practice.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
eventually once things get underway.
Okay. So, Kennedy, tell us your name and what was the community service project that you were a part of last semester?
So my name's Kennedy Corichi. I'm a student here at Pikes Peak Community College, and one of the biggest projects we did last year was with the crisis situation about the immigrants coming here to America, i.e. Syrian refugees.
Yeah, and how did you decide to do that as a community service, as a class? Can you remember?
As a big project, we were going through specific study chapters in philosophy, which was very interesting. And so because of the specific topics we were talking about, as a collective conscious, we decided to have the class together, do this thing with Syrian refugees, especially since there's veterans and non-veterans alike.
Oh, in the class. Excellent. The refugee crisis, was that prompted by a particular worldwide event?
Yes, there was a huge worldwide debate going on. Should America allow Syrian refugees to come to America in the height of the war going on between ISIS?
Okay. And did it have anything to do with Paris?
As well as the Paris attacks was a big factor for that as well. So there was a big stigma in America where people were afraid that bringing Syrian refugees here on the soil would cause terrorism amongst this great nation.
So how did y'all view this as a community service? Like how this worldwide issue was serious, but how did you come to see it as a service in the community that students could do from Pikes Peak Community College?
Well, the first thing we did was some research, and that was getting both sides of the argument, people who are for bringing Syrian refugees and people who are against. Next, we did the planning stage and making sure that our consensus together as a group was going to pan out well during the actual debate itself. Then we brought the convention inside the campus itself. It had left it as an open playing field for anybody to come and attend and debating on what their feedback was, what the surveys provided. We put that information together to help bring awareness about what Syrian refugees were. And then the end point, we had a big debriefing between those who were still pro for not allowing Syrian refugees to come in versus those who were for it.
Yeah. And so you saw this as a service community. How and why? How did that, say, connect as far as philosophy goes, or a study on the chapter on the search for knowledge?
So how this really connects basically is some people would say that we have knowledge is very in it, and so sometimes we go with our gut feelings towards something, very biased approach. Others may say, well, we get experience from around us and what we're exposed to, and going out there doing the research is what helps develop that knowledge. And then there are some who take a little bit of both, which is what we did for this particular research project, and applied knowledge to this whole Syrian refugee crisis.
Wow. So, did you have any aha moments yourself while either on any of these stages, either doing the research before having the community service event, the panel actually itself, or any aha moments when you're actually in the midst of it? Share about that a little bit.
So basically, my aha moment was during the actual research stage.
Huh?
Me being a prior service veteran, it was very difficult for me to see the other people's point of views as far as allowing Syrian refugees here to America. However, I was willing to open myself and be exposed to a new concept that I'd never seen before, because I don't want to be viewed personally as a complete total bias one-sided person. So,
Yeah.
and this in turn really helped me to get a bigger understanding of what's really going on here in America and across the world, and just how philosophy can be applied to just about anything, really.
Wow. Did you find yourself changing in your view at all, and as you actually participated in the community service project?
Absolutely. My big change was, first, I learned to seek understanding before being understood. And then second, I've taken another rule to apply whenever I'm talking to anybody. It's just, we can still agree to disagree. This is the beauty about being in America. We have that freedom to do that.
Wow. So as you applied those, say, a couple ground rules, so to say, for the class, you said you were initially really concerned about Syrian refugees coming to the U.S. Did that change as you did the research on that, or as you talked with people? Share about that a little bit.
So when I did the research, I view them as well as terrorists. I view every single Muslim as a terrorist willing to blow themselves up in the name of Allah. But throughout my education and throughout the learning experience, I realized it's only a small collective group as compared to the rest of everybody else who are suffering from the same injustices that we ourselves in America have suffered in the past. So who am I to judge or say that one or two people who like to cause fear is therefore the epitome of a whole group in itself?
Wow. You found that happening with you as you did the research. What was that like as the day of the event when the panel was going on? And there was how many students showed up? How many faculty showed up? And what was your part that day? What part did you play? What did you learn through that?
Okay, so I don't remember how many people came because there was many people coming in and out. Some people stopped for 5 minutes, some people stopped for 20 minutes. I had the opportunity to speak with people who were for bringing Syrian refugees in America and those who were against. I could see some of their perspectives on why they believe what they believed because I could relate to them, as well as those who saw the view totally different, probably in a bigger scope. Altogether, my main role was literally just handing out the information and bringing awareness to people, letting them know that, hey, we're discussing about this whole Syrian refugee cases, and that we here, as a group of college students, really do care about this issue because it is prevalent, considering that the state of Colorado was almost considering bringing Syrian refugees here to the state.
So you said the word discussion. Was
Yes.
there heated debates and people yelling and screaming at each other and walking out, or did you really see discussion?
I saw a lot more open discussion, amazingly, and you wouldn't think you can see that anywhere. Like, heaven forbid you mention something like this in a church, but say here on a college campus where we have such a mixed diversity, we saw more of a discussion-based learning than we saw of arguments. However, there were a few who were very passionate in what they believed in, and we gave them that respect. But since the ground rules were laid out the first time, people understood.
Very cool. Okay, well, let's talk about the debrief time, like after the event, going back to the classroom, discussing it in class. What did you learn through that time? Did you see that having this experience outside of class, did you see it affecting your learning back in class, say about philosophy in this case?
Well, as far as philosophy goes, or just any subject, really it helped me to learn how to apply the stuff that I've learned in school to everyday life. And I would never thought that a philosophy class could do something like this and totally make an impact and change in my perspective and how I approach other people, let alone approach my world here that we live in. So it was really beneficial for me to have done the service learning project.
Very good. Did you eventually write up a report about this, or record it for an assignment for your class? And if so, in doing that, did that have any effect on you as well?
As far as the write-up assignment and everything else, I just did the paperwork that I needed to do. The main experience, though, that I got from it, it was being hands-on, actual interacting with people. That's what impacted me the most, was in the heat of that moment, listening to people's reasonings, listening to their discussions, and appreciating them for their stance of who they were.
Just to let you know, Kennedy, that there was something that you wrote in your report that was so, that summarized and encapsulated the experience so well that it was written up in the final report along with the 186 other students. But yours was picked out as one to be featured in the final report, and it not only impacted other students in our class, but it's impacted tons of other classes and tons of other faculty and several others for the future that are considering doing a service learning project. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's new information for me, and I'm just one person amongst everybody else, and all it takes is just one person to make a change. So if somebody like myself, been in the military for 9 years and doing what I'm being told is able to do something like this, I would look forward to an organization or somebody adopting these principles or these ideas and running with it and applying it to everyday life.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right, man. Good job.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.